The ERP was not happenstance, but is a result of a well-orchestrated plan by those who don't want it.
Yes.
Councillors and some council officials, office holders,
Yes.
working very hard to ensure that the ERP is not there.
Yes.
And you will recall that there was a figure that was mentioned in this commission as being the potential loss, which other witnesses had given, which was 200 million US dollars. And you then indicated that in your estimates, it was more than $200 million. You recall that?
Yes.
You recall that you then, upon some questions from myself and the chairperson, you then indicated that in your own estimate, we are looking at a figure of $250 million, according to you,
Yes.
at the very least.
At the very least, yes.
And you were basing this on some audit statements that came from auditors?
Yes.
Auditor generals?
Yes, I would like to elaborate on that. Since my testimony, I have received the 2020 draft audited report. The figures for the 2020 is actually higher in terms of the estimates that they have. I've got the audited report and I'll beg leave to...
The 2020?
Yes, the 2020 audited report.
Mm-hmm.
If at page 24 of that report.
What figure they give? What figures they give?
They have given a figure of 5 billion RTGS, the figure of 5.1 billion RTGS, which at the exchange rates of that. Which at the exchange rates of that time would be anything between 70 million to 80 million US. And they did flag a particular worrying trend of unsubstantiated creditors, and they indicated 2 companies which had to decline that the city of Harare owed them. Now, the absence of an ERP has allowed for double or triple payments. So a company will just receive a letter from the city of Harare that the city of Harare wants to pay you. In this instance, it was Jet Cross Investment, which wanted to be paid 1.9 billion. And they had to indicate that, look, the city of Harare does not owe us. And another company called Supremacy Private Limited, which had also to decline payments that wanted to be made to it. So it is this problem that I was indicating, that if we don't get an ERP as soon as possible, the cases of this nature will increase, and one shudders to think what will be revealed in the 2021 audit, 2022 audit up to this point. And I do believe that this system, whereby we have been going to and fro, PRAS, City of Harare, and the Secretariat, is deliberate. And I would suggest that they might even be working with individuals at PRAS, because every time we submit that we have got an ERP, it's retained for one irregularity or the other. But an organization cannot exist without an enterprise resource package. And it's miraculous that the city of Harare has existed for almost 4 years or 5 years without an enterprise resource package. And these are the consequences. And I'll beg leave to tender the audit report if it has not been...
Side of that.
No, I haven't had sight of it, but I'd like you to quote it for the record, what it is that you want to tender. Quote it,
Okay.
the authors, etc.
Okay.
I mean, those who prepared it.
Yes, it was prepared by HLB, Zimbabwe, Chartered Accountants, headlined, seat of our
Open HR?
HLB, Zimbabwe, Chartered Accountants.
What date?
24 April 2024. Headlined, City of Harare, HLB Zimbabwe report to those charged with governance for year ended 31 December 2020.
Are you able to inform this commission as to who commissioned that report?
Yes, it's HLB Zimbabwe Chartered Accountants. It has the signatures. Let me check.
What I'm saying is who requested for it. Was it the city council, your city council?
Yes, it's the city council. We are required to audit our accounts every year.
Yes.
So we commissioned them.
Is that a copy which you want to tender?
Well, I can make more copies later on. This is the copy that I've been using, but I have a soft copy.
Yeah.
No, I have a soft copy.
Are there did you make any notes here?
There are no notes.
Yes. Exhibit 77 is an HLB Zimbabwe Chartered Accountants report for the year ending 31st December 2020.
To quote your words, you say that it is miraculous that the Harare City Council has managed to survive for those many years, for the number of years, 6, 7, without an ERP system.
Yes.
And if I'm to recap your evidence from last week when you were here before this commission, it's not a miracle that the ERP is not there. This is as a result of a concerted effort.
Yes.
By people within the city council from both the councillors' ranks and officers' rank to ensure that this is not there.
Yes, more particularly the secretariat.
Whether or not you ascribe more activity to one group or the other, for us, people who are governed by yourselves in this city, it's a combination of both.
Yes, but what I found, because I've got a private sector background, what I found particularly in the system is that across the board, there is a general lack of understanding, technical know-how of understanding how an ERP is actually the lifeline of any organization that is operating in modern times.
Well, aren't you being too kind to them? Because if they didn't understand it, they wouldn't be resisting it so much.
Yes.
Isn't it the fact that they actually understand it? They actually understand that it will bring accountability. Yeah, but it is that accountability that they do not want.
That is my major issue with the town clerk and his management, because I'm aware that they know what an ERP does. They knew that we were having our audits every year until the point when they fired the service provider that was providing the ERP overnight.
And you would agree with me that if you councillors had been standing in unison against this profligacy, this irresponsible behavior, none of this would have happened.
Well, we stood in unison. The councillors, to their credit, once they understood where I was coming from, we have all the resolutions. We have made all the resolutions, held special councils around the ERP, even directed that an award be made. But we were told that it is not procedural and we were in violation of one law or the other.
The impression that you would give to the public is that being a team player with councillors, in that you are fellow politicians, the impression that the public will get is that you're trying to minimize the role of councillors, whilst exaggerating the role of council officials.
Well, it's not an exaggeration. When we are getting to council, we come into council with different backgrounds.
You cannot, what I'm trying to say is you cannot minimize the role of councillors as well, can you? Given the fact that you have admitted that it is a combination of both sets of officials that have been hindering you.
Yes, I cannot minimize the role of councillors, but what I can do is say to their credit, the councillors have passed all the resolutions that we have asked of them in relation to the ERP. What has not happened is the bringing into the ERP.
Just an objective appraisal, without going into your evidence. This system has not been put in place for 7 years, as you say. Now, surely if the councillors were working in unison for 7 years, would we be here?
Well, we like I said, the last...
This requires an objective answer. Would we be here if all councillors stood in unison and fought for this ERP system?
We wouldn't be here, but like I said the last time, it is the case...
Let me say, we wouldn't be here, right?
Yes, of dogs, the puppies opening eyes at a different time.
Well, yeah, puppies, dogs, kittens, I don't know. But the issue here is that there is no escaping the fact that the councillors must bear responsibility for this dire situation that we find ourselves in as we speak.
Some responsibility, but the bulk of the responsibility is with the Secretariat, who assured when the termination was done.
So it is the board of directors here blaming executives for the failure of a company, but absolving themselves.
Well, we took remedial actions. The board has made resolutions to implement the ERP. We were then denied through a yo-yo game between PRAS and our Secretariat. The Secretariat will agree, PRAS will decline. PRAS agrees, the Secretariat will not implement until we had to go to the ministry.
Who were the last ERP providers to be dismissed by the council?
It was the BIQ.
Did councillors not endorse that through a resolution?
That was endorsed by councillors through a resolution.
Right, so councillors bear responsibility for that, surely you'd agree? In fact, it can be argued that without their resolution, BIQ would not have been fired.
The firing needed a resolution.
I want objective answers here.
Yeah.
That are devoid of any politicization or bias.
Yes.
Is it not an inescapable fact that were it not for the councillors' actions to pass a resolution to fire BIQ would not have been fired?
Of course, it needed and required a resolution.
Now, on a balance, who bears more blame?
In this case, when the resolution was passed, I was a councillor at that time, but I was not the mayor. I objected and I asked...
We're talking about collective
decision of course,
making.
Yes.
So my question is, that we don't appear to be quarreling, who bears more blame?
Who bears more blame in this instance were the technocrats, because they knew better. The level of knowledge and background of many of my fellow colleagues at that time were such that they probably were missing the argument as to why we were discussing an ERP. They were just being told.
But you objected.
Yes, I personally objected.
You personally objected, giving cogent reasons.
Yes, I did.
Well reasoned like a lawyer?
Maybe I was too fluent.
But your councillors, that notwithstanding, went against you.
Yes.
So they had all the information. You can't say they were misinformed because you had informed them. And they had reason to trust you because you were one of them.
Yeah, but at that time I was just...
No, just answer the question.
Yes. Yes, I was just in council.
Yeah. I think that I will move on from this ERP because we've exhausted it.
Okay.
But the point that I wanted to establish that this is not, the lack of this ERP is not blame that can be apportioned to one party.
Yes, it cannot be apportioned to one party.
Now, if your councillors are unable to understand the ERP system and there are puppies who haven't opened their eyes, to use your words. Should we have them?
Well, at this time, they've understood, they've made the resolutions, and we are in sync in terms of where we need to go on the ERP.
7 years later, do we need those puppies?
They
To
understood.
use your words.
Well, they understood a few years back. They understood. The issue is with, but the fact of the matter is, any day longer that we stay without the ERP at the seat of Harare, huge losses are incurring,
Look,
and we need it there.
What I would indicate to you, and it's borne out by the record, is that there is overwhelming evidence of the misgovernance issues that councillors are guilty of, which the commission has. Some of which councillors themselves have admitted before this commission.
Yes. Yes.
You agree with that?
Yeah, some of the issues are governance and some of our implementation.
In fact, we had one of your committee chairpersons, an audit committee chairperson, who confessed to financial illiteracy before this commission.
Yes, he did.
Who is that?
Duma.
Yes, it's a state. It's a state.
Thank you. Councillor Duma confessed to his humble academic qualifications, and perhaps more importantly and more relevantly, his near illiteracy in financial issues.
Yes, indeed.
And he blamed the voters for voting him in when they knew that he was a Form 4 to quote him.
Yes.
And so this is the committee that would be central to the establishment of an ERP system.
Yes.
Headed by a financially illiterate councillor who blames voters for not questioning his academic credentials.
Yes.
Okay?
We have since changed.
Now, I will.
No, don't worry about that.
Okay.
Let's just listen to the questions and answer what has been asked of you.
Okay.
If the questioner is not happy with what we have told them, then they'll ask you to elaborate. Okay.
As guided.
Let me assure you that at the end of the evidence, we will give you the opportunity to raise any other issues you might have with the commission. So if there is anything that we haven't covered on ARP, keep them, park them, and then raise them. I propose to move on right now to another issue.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Thanks.
Now, I was just looking at the terms of reference given in a presidential proclamation. Number 1, to investigate financial management systems and audit compliance with Public Finance Management Act and other laws. It's actually the first term indicated there. What would be your comment on the performance of the council in running prudent financial systems, given what we have been talking about on ERP?
Yeah, we've had serious challenges in running a prudent financial system. We have once you have no system and you adopt an inefficient ERP, you are then not able to timeously do the audit.
In other words, what would be your argument or what would be your comment if I said that the failure to do prudent financial system actually affects other terms of reference here that I have? The procedure, for instance, of management, sell or lease or transfer of local authorities' properties to private entities. We do not have a financial system that tracks it, and therefore we are unable to do this efficiently.
Yes, you are unable to do you purchasing, selling, buying. It becomes a complex issue because you need a system to do that.
And there was an issue that my colleague touched on before I took the mantle for discussions with you. Mm-hmm. My colleague spoke of the management of council companies, that is private entities or companies that have been formed by council. I was talking about Harare Marketing, City Parking and others. You will recall that discussion.
Yes.
I would say it follows that we cannot never have a system that effectively traces or monitors the performance of these entities without this ERP.
Yes, we cannot effectively monitor the processes of council without an effective ERP.
And the companies, whether or not they are remitting funds that they should be remitting to the city council, those cannot be monitored because we are using maybe manual systems or not using any systems at all. It just depends on the diligence of those involved.
Yeah, you are then at the mercy of what the company systems are. For instance, City Parking has developed a very effective ERP for itself. But then you needed it to be married to the city ERP. So the ERP for City Parking that they have now is very sophisticated, and you're able to track it in real time. So if you go there this morning, you look at the number of cars that they've intercepted, they've got a dashboard. So you are able to track their systems in real time, the amount of money that has come in, that has come out, who has done what.
And this can be done with others, Harare Marketing, etc., etc.
It can be done, all of them, the whole operation.
I'm talking about the monitoring that you
of course.
Cannot be done.
It cannot be to the greater detail that City Parking has done. Because at City Parking right now, if we go to their control center, you will see everything that they've done right up to this moment.
And as you correctly observe, there was no system that was put in place in order to marry that system.
Yes, what you then need is a docking.
No, just if you can, there was no system.
Yeah, there's no
system. As a result, there is no independent mechanism of monitoring what they are doing, even if they're inefficient as a city council.
Yes, except their audits.
Yeah, but then we cannot monitor, and you and I know about audits.
Yeah.
They will deal with information that is there.
That is there, yeah.
Yeah, but if they are monitoring systems, maybe they can go to other things, but they will deal what's there. So effectively what it means, efficient as City Parking may be, or hard as they may have tried to put in place systems, still this has not had a positive impact on the council and on residents because the council itself can't monitor it.
Yes, that's one of the biggest challenges because when for last year the city parking brought about to the city council about $1 million. Now, when we started asking where that $1 million went, that's where the problem began. And I'm told that the $1 million was used to purchase executive cars or Fortuners and so forth. So if you receive the money, you also need to be able to track how it has been used by the city council. And therein comes the difficulty.
Well, you have just touched on an issue that was going to raise later on with you, and that is the issue of the remuneration of your executive, because they are yours, Mr. Mayor.
Well,
which point of reference I thought we were going according to this?
Sorry?
What point of reference are you at now? What term of reference?
I think this one would touch on any other matter. This is matters of corruption, etc.
But I thought we are going to go for this one by one. Don't you want him to comment on those?
We have done up to number 3.
Yeah, fine now.
And 4, and even 5. 6 does not concern him. And what I'm dealing with now is 7. But if you look at all of them, I have covered them. Starting from the very first.
Yes, please. Proceed.
Yes. I was going to touch on a matter that you were raising. You have just raised the purchase of Fortuners. Now, of executives from monies remitted from city parking, as you were saying. Am I correct?
Yes.
When did this incident occur?
Well, towards the end of towards 2023, August, towards the election, City Parking used to enforce on one bylaw, which is the parking bylaw. Then we made a resolution for them to enforce another bylaw, to give them 2. We have about 16 traffic bylaws. So we gave them the second bylaw. Now this bylaw related on parking, how you park, proper parking. Now the sharing of the revenue was that they collect the revenue, we get, it changed 50% of that, and 50% stays with city parking for the admin, 50% comes to the city council. Now, because it was the first year that they were implementing that bylaw, it raised $2 million US. And the $1 million US, I'm not counting the ZIG, the $1 million US was then remitted to the city council. Now, when the $1 million US was remitted to city council, we were going into elections. So the council then dissolved. When we came back to then say, okay, what happened to that $1 million US, because we had earmarked it for doing the parking lots and all that. We were then told that it was used. What it was used for, how it was used, and then we then learned that purchases of vehicles for the executives had been done in the time while least we had been electioneering and coming back.
So your evidence is that when you were out campaigning, $1 million was used to buy Fortuners and other
vehicles or any other
vehicles for executives. Now this raises the question that residents would like to get answers on. Surely these executives have defined packages and perks that go with their respective jobs.
Yes.
Now, how is it that they were able, if we were to go by your evidence, to purchase vehicles willy-nilly like that? If they have defined packages that show what they should have, when they should have it, if it is a car, what type of car is bought, when is that car bought, and that actually is controlled by regulations given by the ministry, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Now, how were they able to do that?
Well, what they are able to do when it comes to their executive packages, they will then say, I'm entitled to the vehicle. The question is sometimes it's about priorities, because they will be having the terms.
No, let me get you straight there. When you say they will then say, it appears to me that the decision is theirs rather than written documents that indicate their packages. When they say I am entitled to a motor vehicle, surely an entity like the city council cannot then just grant that vehicle if that is not part of their packages. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, we will not.
So can you explain there, how can they say I am entitled to a motor vehicle?
What they do is that they have terms of conditions of employment. And those terms are governed by the contract that they've entered with council, directives issued from the ministry from time to time, among other laws. And then that would then say if you are a particular grade, you ought to get this particular type of vehicle. So what then happens is in a situation such as ours, where the resources are scarce, sometimes it's a question of priorities and also a question of whether they've obtained the requisite permission and where who has permitted them to do what they have done.
All right, no, let me get this straight. Do their terms of their conditions of service allow them certain vehicles?
Their conditions of services, yes. The town clerk, the directors, and certain managers are allowed.
After how long?
Certain types of. They then change after the normal period is after 5 years.
But at the time of the elections, which is 2023, were they due to get those vehicles?
Well, it is not clear because it's one of the issues that we've asked for the documentation of the vehicles. Currently, as we speak, those vehicles do not come at Town House. We have not seen the vehicles. What they've done is when we came back and we started inquiring about them, then it became opaque. And it is the same with the executive salary role. The last time it was raised here at the commission, we had asked for it. And when I raised to say, okay, I need to see the salary role of the town clerk and the senior management, the acting HR director came to my office with it in his hand and showed me like this, and refused to hand it over to me. Said that I've been instructed by the town clerk not to give you, to allow you to make a copy. So he then sat at the opposite end of my desk and then said, these are the salaries that the executives are earning. When I have finished giving them, when you've finished reading and memorizing, I will then take them away and go back to them, to the town clerk. So you've got the list, and I think the paper that I read, the town clerk was the highest with 27,000 US.
A month?
A month, yes. And
does that include any other perks, or it was just straight salary there?
It was a gross figure. It then had 20
allowances.
Yeah, it then had allowances.
So approximately how much, if you look at those figures, 27,000 gross plus allowance, what would it come to?
Plus our allowances, it will come out to a huge figure.
Yes, what is the huge figure? What is the huge figure?
It would probably go into around 30,000 or thereabouts. But my challenge...
But from gross 27, there's the net. What is the net?
The net, the argument...
Without before adding the allowances.
If it's at 27,000, the net would then come to about probably 15,000.
15.
15, 16.
Plus allowances, it will still give you?
Yeah, it will go... It will go higher. It will go higher because, remember, well, I would need, I don't know whether they appeared before the commission, they were able to give you the schedule. I was just shown the salary, and I was not given. And I do understand that they don't even issue pay slips to each other.
Okay, those would have been authorized by the town clerk for the executives.
Yes, those have been authorized.
And the motor vehicles also would have been
authorized by the town clerk. Yes.
Let's move on to
Yes. No. I wanted to bring you back. So the town clerk had $27,000 per month.
Yes.
USD.
Yes.
And others.
The others, it then cascades downwards. I think the one which had the minimum was at around 13,000.
That is the lowest in that account.
That in that schedule that I was shown and not given.
That is the schedule.
That according to the schedule I was shown by the acting.
That is the schedule we are holding.
No. This I'm illustrating how it was shown. No. He refused to give me. He said, my instructions are to come, show you, because you've asked. I've shown you. My instructions are to carry whatever I have back to the town clerk.
Right, fine. The long and short of this scenario now, am I correct in saying that there is no harmony between the executive and the mayor? You seem to be hiding things from each other. Is that correct?
Yeah, for that particular executive, there is no harmony. Executive salaries role, there is no harmony because I had...
No, not only salaries, but even other conditions of service.
Even other conditions of services.
Is that what is prevailing now?
That is what is prevailing now.
Is that normal?
It's not normal.
Are you happy with that situation?
No, I'm not happy.
Do you want it changed?
We want it changed because in my own calculation, the executive salary role in itself can take about 500,000 US per month.
Yes.
And that is an anomaly in the sense that you can actually pay.
With that type of scenario, are you able to, is it in any way hindering your performance?
Yeah, it does. It does, because if you are going to be piling up a salary debt of that nature, firstly, it has not been approved by the local government board, It certainly has not been approved by the ministry. And thirdly, it is a huge draw on the resources, because you are talking about people who have the capacity to then allocate. Once there's a pile of money, they are then able to allocate to themselves that amount of money, and we are always in arrears.
If we had the power to change, what would we change?
The power, we would make a resolution and put a cap on the salary, change the gross salary, put a cap on the salary, look at the benefits, and also put a cap on those benefits, and then link the sum of the allowances to performance, so that if the performance falls below a certain level, they will then forfeit some of the benefits that they are getting.
Right, fine, yes.
Now, from the evidence that you've just been giving, you were totally in the dark as to executive perks.
Yes, I was in the dark.
So why were you in the dark?
They were being hidden from the policymakers on the basis that, one,
you are saying they were being hidden.
Yes.
You have been indicating to this commission that you have the power of oversight. That is your job.
Yes.
And you are at the apex of this institution.
Yes.
What confidence do citizens have in the structure that is currently there if you at the apex cannot access something as rudimentary or elementary as executive perks?
That's why I was saying earlier that they place firewall. The reason why they want to argue that you are not an executive mayor is precisely to create a firewall between what I can access and what I cannot access.
But surely, nobody in your situation would accept a situation whereby your executives deliberately hide, in your own words, their executive perks from yourself.
Yeah, but it's an anomaly. Have you ever come across an organization where somebody brings to the mayor a salary schedule, cannot trust to leave that salary schedule with the mayor, says, I've been instructed by the town clerk to just show you this paper and I'm living with it?
No, I've never seen it.
Just hold on. Who do you want to answer the question?
No, it's not a question. I'm illustrating how it could be hidden.
It's a question, that is why he's answering, but that's not the other way around.
Okay, I'll withdraw the question.
Yes. I would say to you, it is a question. Who is going to answer? Your duty is to answer. It's good to ask questions.
Now, I'll withdraw the question.
You have been saved.
Yes, can I proceed?
I would say that that's a ludicrous situation, one that is totally unacceptable, whereby executive perks, that should be public.
Yes.
Public knowledge, not only to yourself.
To everybody.
But to the real employers of these executives, who are the citizens out there. They should know it, and you, the mayor, do not know it.
Yes.
Very well. Now, but you should.
Yes. I was shown.
You should.
Yeah.
I'm coming to that. Now, there is a mechanism of tracking council expenditure through your committees.
Yes.
That would be the finance committee.
Yes.
That would be the audit committee.
Yes.
Why did those committees not bring this expenditure to the council and ultimately to yourself?
They tried, but the resolutions are there. I sent the chair.
What do you mean they tried? Because it would have taken something very simple like the audit chairman saying, writing to the town clerk, can I have the executive payroll?
They actually did a meeting, and the minutes are there. Where they asked, can we have the contracts of all the executives? Because some of them do not even have contracts.
One meeting.
Do we have many meetings? the latest one. I'm talking about the latest one. Can we have the contracts of the executives? Can we have the salaries for
And
the
from
executives?
your evidence, these were not forthcoming.
These were not forthcoming.
And the council has taken no action whatsoever against this.
Well, we have suspended the town clerk. That's some of the charges.
The town clerk was suspended over an issue that is in the public knowledge.
Oh, there are 5
And
issues.
yes, and they have nothing to do with the executive payroll.
No, the charges number 4 have got to do with the issue of contracts of the executives.
And this was in December last year.
Yeah, this was in December last year. No, it's January. We wasn't suspended last year.
Or you suspended this year?
Yeah, this year, yeah.
So it is only this year that the council has seen it fit to take action over the issue of contracts. And this current term of councillors has been there since September 2023, 2 years later.
Yes, the issue of contracts, it's like extracting teeth. We started on the issue of contracts.
No, but I'm saying that this is a central issue to the operations of the city council.
Yes, it is indeed.
And if you are unaware of how much councillors are receiving as their salaries, surely that's a serious issue. That is an urgent issue.
Executive.
That would require urgent attention, you'd agree.
Yes, I would agree.
And you'd agree with me that a lapse of 2 years before any action of taken betrays lack of urgency on those who should take the action.
It does, but actions was being taken, meetings were being done, resolutions are there. I can illustrate.
We are talking about January. You suspended the town clerk. Do you now have the executive payroll?
At least there was a market improvement.
Question.
No, we don't.
Question.
I don't.
You suspended the town clerk in January. You have an acting town clerk. Do you now have the executive payroll?
No, I don't. They just showed me.
It therefore follows that it was not the town clerk
No,
who was stopping you from the executive payroll, because even after you have suspended him, you don't have it.
Yeah, at least there was a market improvement. They showed me the salary roll. Now I know what I saw.
But we don't know.
I was hoping.
Residents don't know.
Yeah, I was hoping that this.
The commission doesn't have that information.
Well, I was hoping that it was subpoenaed.
No, we will help you.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I think that this is a very important issue.
No, let's do this. Are you able to, even after we have adjourned, are you able to provide that? Because we need that information.
Yes, we will need the official who showed him to come along.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
See, if he's able, let me help you this way. Are you able to bring or to show us that document where there are schedules there?
Yes, I will ask the official that I've been directed to bring it. It will come.
Yeah, fine.
Very well, thank you. And just in addition to that, I have this document here. I've asked that it be put in your files. This is a document entitled Claim for 2024 Holidays. Looks something like this at the top.
Yes.
Now, I have this document which came from your Human Capital Department.
Yes.
Indicating the claims of your executives for their holidays for 2024.
They didn't go to the holidays. They're claiming it from who?
The evidence that we have received in this commission is that your executives are entitled to holiday allowances, and that the senior ones are entitled to, I think the town clerk is entitled to an international destination or holiday, whilst other senior officials are entitled to regional destinations.
Yes.
Regional being SADC. SADC includes Mauritius.
Okay.
Where from the document that I have here, they love to go to. There's also Seychelles and Zanzibar. If you can just have a look at it.
they've never invited the mayor. Yes, I'm seeing it.
So, your town clerk engineer Chisango in the period 2024 was paid $18,286.75
To go on holiday or in lieu of a holiday that you were supposed to go.
Well, this document says Dubai. It is for a holiday in Dubai. I think for citizens, I think it matters not whether or not they actually went there or they claimed. What is important for citizens, and for this commission indeed, is that an amount of $18,000 was paid last year for him.
Okay.
In fact, then there are others, Chawatama, 15,080. We had Nekairo, who came before this commission. He is due an amount of $15,150. When we look at this document that is before us, what ratepayers are being asked to fork out for the holidays of your executives is $124,459.17.
Is that the total?
That is the total of the figures that are there. I'm not going to the others from line 9 to 13 who actually haven't placed in their claims, but they are coming.
Yes, what did you say? What's the figure?
$124,459.17. That is the total of the money due.
Do you dispute that?
I have no access. It's
No, but from the figures you have been given.
From
now,
the figures, I will have no any premise to be able to dispute any of those figures. They don't come through me. They never ask me. I have no access, and I need the access to that.
So they come through the office of the town clerk?
They come through the office of the town clerk.
Who is the one who would have authorized this?
Yes, he's the accounting officer.
All right, fine. 124,000 plus almost 125. Would you agree that's a lot of money?
Yes, I'm actually shocked with the figures and the information, because at a time when we as councillors are being asked, and everybody else is being asked to tighten their belts, others are loosening their belts, as it were.
Yes, let's go on. Let's go on, please.
And your evidence is that you are totally unaware of this.
The executive salary role, the executive contracts are a big issue.
What I'm saying is you are totally unaware of this.
I'm totally unaware of this. I'm actually shocked.
And being an individual who has been in the private sector, as you have said, the blame wouldn't lie on the executives alone, would it? It would lie on the audit committee.
Yes.
It would lie on the finance committee. It would lie on the councillors.
Yes, it would lie
of whom you are the boss.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I would like you to look at the figure below as well. I have got here a list of 123 individuals. 43 individuals. 15 of whom traveled to Victoria Falls, and these are your fellow councillors.
Are these councillors? Cairo.
No, some of them are councillors. Or maybe just confirm for us.
No, these are not councillors.
These are council officials.
These are council officials.
All right, very well.
There's no...
No, fine, that's fine.
There's no councillor.
All right, just have a look.
You want me to keep looking?
Yeah.
And what is the amount there? You can,
The amount, I have got it.
The amount is 100 and,
no, total amount for those, that's ZIG, isn't it?
this is
That's
ZIG.
it. Can you read or I can read it for you?
The total amount is the one ascribed here, 2 billion.
Yes.
How much? 2 billion, plus or minus?
Yeah, plus or minus 2 billion, 2 billion 496 733.92. But these are not for councillors. There's no councillor.
Right. And again, as I've indicated below, the audit committee should flag this.
Yes, it should flag that.
Because this is for a period of 2024.
Yes.
And this is for officials travel to Victoria Falls.
Yes.
And these figures that you have just mentioned,
So does it go up to Chifunde? Or it goes up to?
it's the next page goes to 43.
No, the ones we're talking about, that up to number 20, that 2 billion.
Yes, it goes up to 15. Oh no, up to number 20.
Up to 20.
Yes. Right.
Your 2.4 but goes up to 15. You have not added 16 up to 20. have you?
No, 2.4 goes to those who have been paid. The ones that have been claimed not paid is that figure 702,454.49.
So how much is that?
I think it's 702,454 and 49 cents.
So
That's it.
702?
454.49. And may I proceed?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And you have agreed with me that the audit committee should be aware of this. They should flag this.
They should flag this, but you must understand that if the executive runs the audit in arrears, by the time that those issues are flagged, it would probably be beyond 2028. So if our system does not catch up, or if we don't, it will mean that
I want to disinvite you from speculation.
Okay.
And let us concentrate on the facts that are there. And the question that I've asked is, audit committee should flag this.
Yeah, the audit committee should flag that.
You are unaware of it, as we're
I'm-
sitting here?
no, it is not.
Because it hasn't been brought to your attention by
Yeah.
the audit committee.
No, it hasn't been brought.
Because they do not have it.
Yeah, they do not.
Now, the question that I would ask is, are these the only amounts? Is this the only expenditure that our officials are engaged in, which are not properly accounted for through all the oversight bodies of the council, which include the audit and the finance committee?
It can't be the only figures. Like I explained earlier, without...
No, hold on. Are there more allowances which don't appear here?
Yeah, this allowance simply relates to...
So there are more allowances.
There are more allowances, because this allowance simply relates to
Yes,
holiday.
fine, that's all right. Yeah, there are more allowances.
Yes. So what I'm indicating here is that what the citizens are facing is what I would call a totally dysfunctional system that is unable to account even for the expenditure of its own staff.
Right?
Yes, the executives.
Yes, fine.
Okay. Now, as I'm talking to you right now, in this room, there is at present nothing that is in place from stopping this recklessness, this grandiose misuse of public funds from carrying on. This may very well be something that is carrying on even as we speak.
Yes, we made a resolution.
No. Just answer the question.
Yeah, yes.
The remedy we'll get into later on, but what we want the factual position.
Yeah, nothing that stops, because any claim that is due will be paid.
Right, next question.
So, I don't know if I'd be exaggerating, you correct me. If I say that within the city council right now, there is grand theft of public funds on a massive scale.
Well, earlier you had invited me not to speculate, but there are loopholes that would create the situation you described.
There are loopholes that would create the space for grand theft.
But I don't have specific details on it.
Sorry?
Are they, yes, are they loopholes or not?
They are loopholes, yes.
Fine.
Let us move on to the issue we had started discussing, the issue of the proliferation of service stations.
Okay.
Before you gave evidence, the head of planning in your city council expressed misgivings about the number of service stations in the Avondale area.
Yes.
And you also confirmed that there was an inordinate number of service stations.
Yes.
And I referred you to one particular one which has caught my attention, and I know that there are others. This is the one at the corner of Tyrone Street and West Avenue. West in its previous name, in Avondale.
Yes.
And this is a service station that is in the middle of a residential area. It is actual immediate neighbors, residential neighbors, on two sides of the property.
I have no reason to dispute that.
Yes. And you will recall that we had asked that you provide to this commission the requirements for one to construct a service station. I would talk obviously of the safety requirements and other requirements that are there. Have you been able to do that?
I don't recall that being asked to provide that, but I can provide the requirements.
I think you may have forgotten, but we did ask.
All right. No, I can bring the list of the things that are required. Yeah.
But as a mayor, I think you know that there must be a certain distance between a service station and residential areas, for instance.
Yes, there should be a distance.
This is to ensure safety, so that residents are not put in harm's way when it comes to deadly hazards as fires, since they deal with fuel, petrol, and highly flammable substances.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that without even going into those, I think if you look at that residence that has been converted to a service station, wouldn't I be right to say that there is, just by looking at it, you have prima facie evidence of the fact that the safety requirements have not been met?
Yes, I would certainly be worried if I was a neighbor there about the safety requirements.
Okay.
If, as you say, there are houses this side and houses that side.
Yeah, well, it's I think the service station is called Energy Park and it's almost complete.
Okay.
Now, the city planner, the head of city planning, came before this commission and indicated that he had misgivings about the way the master plan of Mebrain, which includes Avondale as well, was compiled and put together and put to council. Are you acquainted with the circumstances surrounding the that master plan?
Yeah, they should. Is it a local area plan?
Yes.
It's the local area plan. Yes, I'm aware that there was a local area plan that was done.
His evidence was to the effect that it was given to, or the duty to do that, the contract to do the plan was given to a private firm.
Well, I'm not familiar with the circumstances of that local area plan, but I do know that a local area plan normally is sponsored by private individuals,
yes.
And the private individuals then do the consultative process. They find a consultant who works with our city planners to come up with the local area plan. That's in my word. That's
well, to quote the city planner here, He said, when it comes to Avondale, we went to sleep. I'm quoting him verbatim.
Oh, I was not aware that he had slept.
I have one scenario actually of that particular one. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, before I go that, could I officially have that remuneration, that holiday allowance?
The claim for 2024 holidays is Exhibit 78. Right? Right. Right. For the purpose of the record, Exhibit 77 is the HLB, it is Zimbabwe CA, child accountant, of the 24th of April, 2024, yes. But it's for the financial period ending the 31st of December, 2020. Then Exhibit 78 case will be the claim for 2024 holidays.
Yes. Thank you. Now, I'd like to make to another reference to another document that I have. I also asked that it be placed to attention. If you look at the top of it, it's got the words Mrs. Kanda at the top, and it's a letter written on the 3rd of October, 2024.
Did you put this in the file?
Yes, let me just, I had asked, sorry. Let's go.
Right, proceed. You have a copy.
All right, I'll move on to another issue whilst we wait for these copies for time.
Right.
I want to touch on another issue that is of concern, I'm sure to yourself as well, but to citizens at large. And that is the issue of traffic lights.
Okay.
Harare. Now, as a person, I can hit off maybe 3 or 4 or 5 intersections that are major, which have not had traffic lights for ages. There's one at Corner Sataton, the road that goes to Highfields, hasn't had traffic lights that work 4 years. There's one at Corner Addington Lane and Borodale Road, I think. 2 sets of traffic lights that haven't been functioning for 2 years. There is the recently constructed traffic lights at Kona Harare Drive and Nemakonde Way, formerly Lomagundi, which were affected by an accident over 8 days, maybe 9 or so days ago. And there is no movement whatsoever from your city council. Generally, I think that it would be fair to say the majority of traffic lights in the city center and elsewhere at this moment do not work. I think the worst case scenario, if you were to ask me, would be one. Corner Samora Machel Avenue and Rhodesville.
Right.
where it appears it has been accepted as a permanent feature that those traffic lights don't work.
Is it correct that the majority of them are not functioning?
The majority,
Of traffic lights in the city council? Harare City?
no, it's not correct. We have about 200 traffic
Yes,
lights.
but what percentage would you say is functional and what percentage?
At any given time, about 50 to 60% will be functional. 40% would not be functional.
Well,
From the report I've
no, let's I don't think that you could ask anybody sitting in this room. The vast majority of your traffic lights do not work. We can start with this street alone in front of us. We can start with this one alone.
But you see, to say the majority without, the majority are not functioning without giving the figures of the traffic lights is not fair to the witness.
No.
His answer, you said the majority, but what percentage you do prescribe to that?
If I'm invited to put a percentage, I would say 75%.
75%?
Yes.
Yes. What is
Traffic
wrong?
lights in Harare rarely work, wherever you go.
What is your position?
And I don't think that
I've got a status report of the traffic lights which I elicited the last time, and that's the one I'm looking at. The Armageddon scenario that
Yes. What percentage?
I would say my percentage of 60% at any given time are working.
So it's 40% is not functional.
Yeah, 40% is not functional. It's a daily status report because they are affected by different issues on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes lack of electricity, sometimes damaged pipes, sometimes stolen components. There are certain traffic lights which might be irritating you. That
So
are,
you are saying 40%. You are saying 40%.
I'm saying
and
it
it says 75%. Right?
No, I think it's a very important point because whatever his stated report says, I have counted off maybe about 6 or 7 that don't work right now. And what I'm indicating to him that if you look at the Borodale ones, and yes, it does. I know not only me, but your residents, your ratepayers as well. That one hasn't been functioning for 2 years. Now, on a balance of probabilities, how probable is it that you operate on a 60 functional one when you have traffic lights that don't work for years?
Okay, the status is we have 218 traffic lights, working 115, non-functional 103. Percentage functional is 52.8%, non-functional is around 47%. Then I do have the statistics as to the reason why some of those are not functioning.
Who compiled that for you?
That is the engineer in charge of, the electrical engineer, the engineer in charge of traffic signals.
An executive.
Yes, an executive.
These are the same executives who don't show you their payroll.
Yeah.
The same executives who literally show you the payroll whilst they're holding it and then withhold it. The same untruthful executives who are blocking ERP.
Yes.
These are the executives you give information that you want this commission to rely on. I say that because the evidence that we see in Harare does not correspond with the information that you've been given. That is my argument.
Okay.
And I would say to you that even on your own observations, you cannot be satisfied by the state of traffic lights and their being operational in Harare. You cannot be satisfied.
Yeah, no, we can't be satisfied.
Even if we are going to go by those figures given by officials whom you have told us are of dubious character, even if we were to go by those figures, 40% is just too high.
Yeah, of course.
Now, is there a plan? And if so, may we hear it?
Yes, the plan that
is the plan to fix the traffic lights.
The traffic lights. The first plan it's a financial plan. What we need is to have or to ring fence finances, and the suggestion was because the city center relates to issues of city parking, is to try and ring fence the parking revenues to be dedicated towards the fixing of traffic lights.
If we were to look at the city center alone, sorry to interrupt you, if we were to look at the city center alone, if you were asked by this commission to give a figure of how much it would cost to fix them so that they are operational on acceptable standard levels, what figure would you come up with?
If from the figures that I've been told, it will take anything between 500,000 to 700,000 to have them fixed and operating with the city center alone.
With the city center alone?
Yeah. But I might be wrong.
We know that last year you gave your executives as council $124,000 just for their holidays.
Yes, I didn't give.
So if I were to say to you, if I were to say to you that the failure by the city council to fix traffic lights in the city of Harare is not unavailability of funds, but misalignment, misdirection, and misspending.
Yeah, in some instances that would be accurate.
I'm talking about the instance of traffic lights.
It will be accurate.
Now, and you were talking when I interrupted you about how much is needed. Is there a plan for it?
Yes, that's the plan I was talking about. And also the other plan, because of the intermittent electricity, has been to put solar to put them on solar, alternative energy. But that then requires the cooperation of buildings that are close to where we install so that the components are not stolen. So some of the building owners at the corners where there are intersections have agreed for us to put the bulk of what controls the traffic light in their premises. And once we...
Hold on. When did you come up with this plan?
This plan was done, I think, at the middle of last year.
When do you intend to implement it?
We wanted to implement it immediately with the approval of this 2024 budget. It's a concern, it's an immediate concern because we've had to deploy police officers and traffic officers.
Okay.
I think that the observations of your residents is that at the moment they do not see anything tangible on the ground in terms of fixing traffic lights. And this is not an aesthetic issue, as you'll appreciate.
It's a safety issue.
It's a safety issue, and if you go to the Zimbabwe Traffic Safety Board, I'm sure you will find figures that are high involving accident fatalities that happen because of traffic lights that are not functioning. So it's actually a life and death thing, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, yes.
And citizens don't see any evidence of any work being done to restore those traffic lights. What would you say to that statement?
Well, the plan is there. We have a daily status of the traffic lights that work. The figures are not satisfying, as I indicated earlier. But we need to improve, get the components, but deal with the two issues: intermittent supply of electricity and repairing the traffic lights when they are damaged by accidents.
I would say if one were to look at the traffic lights that have not been functioning for over 2 years, one would be inclined to come to the conclusion that it's more an issue of incompetence, lack of care, rather than lack of funds or interruption of electricity, because Corner Rhodesville and Samora Machel has been over 3 years, maybe 4 years now. And I'm sure that area has had electricity in 4 years.
Yes, the major work was done. Maybe you need to update your status. When we were preparing for the SADC summit, major work was done on many of the traffic signals. So the status report that we have now are that a lot were then made to function. But the problem is accidents and intermittent supply of electricity, because from my understanding, we received funding which was then utilized to repair those.
No, I'm belaboring this point because it's a safety issue.
Yeah,
as
it's a
I've
safety issue,
indicated to you. It's not for aesthetics or so we can go around and say we've got traffic lights. People have lost lives and limb at those non-functional.
The junctions.
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
I want to move on to the issue of the document that you have, I think now before you, Mrs. Kanda.
Yeah.
Now, do you have those documents? Let me just give you a copy.
Which is the letter of the 3rd of October
Yes.
to Mrs. Kanda of Councilor and legal practitioners from acting director of First Nyabes.
It's on.
Okay.
Now, can I just give you a short time just to peruse the headings, and so that you will understand what they're about. And to help you, they relate to the service station that I've been talking to you about. That is the service stations in Avondale West.
Yes, I've done so.
I would like you to look at the letter that's at the very top, which is a letter that is addressed to Kamusasa and Msendo legal practitioners. Unfortunately, we have not been provided copies of what that letter was about, but that won't matter for the purposes of the point we're trying to discuss here. You look at that letter.
Yes.
It is a response to Messrs. Kamusasa and Msendo
Yes.
by your acting director of works, as it then was on the 3rd of October 2024, Nyabezi.
Yes, Nyabeza.
And it says the ref is request to peruse Membrane Local Development Plan number 20.
Yes.
You see that?
Yes.
That is the development plan which has made it possible for the service stations I spoke to you about to be constructed.
Yes.
And I want you to look at the second page of that letter.
Yes.
It gives a timeline. And on paragraph maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, you have 2023 written there.
Yes.
And it says the proposed Membrane local plan was adopted by the city on the 23rd of March 2023. Can you see that?
Yes.
Below it, it says the local plan was placed on public deposit from
31st March.
31st March to 14th of July 2023.
Yes.
Can you see that?
Yes, I've seen that.
Right. I want you to go to the paragraph below that,
Yes.
which says no objections were received pertaining to this public display period. However, some letters of representation were received from the residents in the area which were incorporated, were technically feasible into the local plan before it was finalized.
Yes.
Now, I would like you to explain to us the difference between objections and letters of representation. Because that statement says there were no objections raised on the proposed plan, but there were letters of representation. Are you able to explain what that is?
Well,
the difference?
My understanding would be that a letter of representation might just be to indicate things that maybe a particular resident or a group of residents would want to be incorporated in the local area development plan, but without necessarily objecting to the plan or certain aspects the plan.
No, man. But the letter, that notice they were calling upon, someone wants to put up a structure and they are calling for objections, isn't it? What does that mean? That response, what response do you expect?
If we call for an objection, we expect that one then writes objecting to the development.
But lay persons, do they know that it's an objection, or they will just air out as if it's a letter of some sort?
Yeah, lay persons would probably not know, or it is reasonably conceivable that a lay person would not know this finer difference between a letter of representation and a letter of objection.
Would you then be far-fetched to say these representations actually were objections, informal objections?
I would have to read them to understand. They certainly were not presented to me.
But you would agree with me that on the face of it, there's no difference between the two?
Yeah, it's
because I can put my objections through a letter of representation.
Or you can simply just write a letter and the person...
Yes, and that's an objection.
The person
now,
who reads it.
Is there a process that then displays these letters of representation to the public for them to see that actually their concerns have been taken into account?
There should be records of response from our department to each particular letter. Firstly, directly to the person who would have sent the letter or who would have objected. So among the attached...
Let me rephrase this. What sort of comfort would we get as citizens that this is not a mere statement, a misrepresentation of facts, but that actually some letters of objection were put, if you do not have a system of then publicly displaying those letters of representations or those objections?
There's no system that I know of. What I understand...
Sorry, no, there's no system that you know of.
Yeah.
So what it actually means is that an official may receive letters, not action those letters, and then simply indicate that no objection letters were received.
Yes, but that...
There is no mechanism to stop that.
Yeah, the only mechanism is that each letter that gets written must be responded to.
No, actually the mechanism that you have is you hope that those officials have the integrity to take into account. There is no independent mechanism for it. None.
Yeah.
The public has no way of knowing. And remember, you have told us about the credibility of those officials. You are entrusting with handling things like this. You have told us. let me move on to something perhaps. If you go to the second paragraph.
Yes.
To the paragraph after, during, and after public display, right? Go to the paragraph that starts, the local plan was then finalized. Have you found it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Let me read it out loud. The local plan was then finalized and presented to council for approval. It was approved on the 18th of July, 2023. I want you to note the dates for a question that will come later. Then placed on public deposit for a period of 6 weeks, right? Then your author goes on to define the 6 weeks. He then says, this was from the 1st of October 2023 until the 18th of October 2023. Do you see that?
Yes.
Now, according to the author, that is 6 weeks.
Yes. Well, that's probably, I wouldn't speak to for him. It is probably not 6 weeks. Yeah.
There is no probably there.
It's not 6 weeks.
It's actually only 17 days.
It's 17 days, yeah.
Less than 3 weeks.
Unless if it's a type.
So now, this is a letter that is addressing a critical issue of infrastructural development that some citizens may object to.
Yes.
And we are talking about service stations here, which we all agree have proliferated all over Harare, and some may argue even beyond. Now you have your council official saying that he displayed this document for 6 weeks when he displayed it for 3 weeks. Right. My own summarization from that is that the period that is required by the regulations that affect that procedure is that that display should happen for 6 weeks.
Yes,
So in this particular case, it didn't happen for 6 weeks,
according to this letter.
according to this letter.
Yeah.
It happened only for
17 days.
17 days. Would you say that's a minor irregularity?
No, that's not a minor. That's not a minor.
It's major.
It's major. Well,
Okay. Now, I want you to stay there and look at the letter that was, I want you to go to the very back,
define.
the last document, the final document written by, it says Development Studio Africa Private Limited. You see that?
Yes.
It says it was written on the 6th of September 2023. Request, it says have you found it, Commissioner? It says request for zoning confirmation letter for stand 350 Avondale Township of Subdivision 1 of Lot 8, Block A of Avondale, number 63 West Road, Avondale, in terms of the recently gazetted Maybarain Local Development Plan number 20.
Yes.
You see that?
Yeah.
And if you read it as the reference connotes, it is a letter by Development Studio Africa inquiring about that lot as to whether it has been zoned. Now, then you look at the response. Which is the next document. I think, let me just look for a copy that is the name of the author. Because yes, it was written by your Director of Works.
Yes.
And it's dated the 19th of September.
Yes.
And you see that?
Yes, yes.
This is Development Studio asking if this area has been zoned properly on the 16th and efficiently 3 days later. Well, no.
No.
16 days later?
16 days, yeah.
Yes, a letter was written to them, right? Let's go back to your letter that misquotes 6 weeks. According to that letter, Development Studios was given the go-ahead to implement what they were seeking in September, before the process of October was actually engaged in.
Yes.
Right? Do you note that? This public display was supposed to happen from the 1st October for 6 weeks. And this is when the public was asked to comment on it. And yet, already in September, the City Council had written to Development Studios and indicated to them that yes, they could develop. That is a site that has been approved. Now, wouldn't you agree with me that citizens were being taken for a ride here? It wasn't 6 weeks. It was 3 weeks. And they were being asked to review a process that was already underway. It had been concluded, actually.
Is that correct? You look at what's happened in fact.
Yeah, well, if the narration, I'm not...
Is it correct?
It's correct
Is it true?
about the narration that he has given.
Yes.
Yes, that's what the documents say.
Yeah.
They are saying that the dates are all, they don't make sense.
Now, if I were to describe that as corruption, would you disagree with me? That City Council corruptly or let's say they misrepresented to citizens that they could review a process that they had already allocated to somebody else.
It certainly is a worrying process which needs to be looked at.
Yes. Now,
No, it's worrying indeed, but is it not corruption?
Well,
No, not by you, but by the council.
and I'm saying it is
not
corrupt
the council,
because,
the council officials.
yes, I'm saying it is corrupt because they were allocating this land to a developer when the processes for that allocation were not complete.
Yes, how you outline is what actually happened, then it raises eyebrows.
Now, what guarantee, given the number of service stations that we have seen, which concern you, Mayor, which concern citizens, because most of them are, or many of them are built in residential areas. Certainly in Avondale, there are two within 400 meters of each other. Now, what guarantee do we have that this sort of scenario, as has been put demonstrably here by these papers, is not one that is replicating itself throughout the city where such service stations are built?
We will have to change the process because what I'm seeing...
No. Don't run to a remedy.
Okay.
Answer the question about the factual position prevailing as of now.
Okay. What was the question?
Based on, what were you answering there?
I understood the question to ask me to provide a solution.
No. So can you put the question again?
Okay, let me put the question again. I may not be able to repeat it verbatim, but the thrust is the same. I'm saying to you, what guarantee do citizens have, does indeed this commission have, that this scenario, as has been demonstrated by the documents in front of you, has not been replicated throughout Harare where service stations have been built in similar locations?
There's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee. We will have to review everything.
But you have a solution in some stage?
Yes.
If given a chance, if ever. Or if given a chance.
Yeah, there is
Do you see any remedy into this all corrupt activity?
The remedy here is... what I'm seeing is that the local area development plan process is being abused to then bypass the committees of council. So what we might need is to then return back the process. Because what happens is that...
you see a solution?
Yes, we see a solution.
Fine. Which you will give a chance, if at all, you will then implement.
Yes,
but there is a solution. It's not a dead end.
No, it's not a dead end. It's simply bringing back the process
Yes.
to the city council committees.
And perhaps as a follow-up, what recourse do those Avondale residents have, given these anomalies we have seen from these documents?
No, let me help you there to get the correct answer.
Yeah.
This allocation of this land, do you agree that it is not complied with the requirements of the vice laws?
Yes, the conversion, yes, is not complied.
Yeah, correct in saying, therefore, it was awarded, it was permitted illegally.
Yes, if the circumstances are.
Now, do you want this illegality to remain?
No.
Illegal?
No.
What do you think is the best solution?
At this juncture, the council...
To sanitize, or to make your city
better,
acceptable and credible?
Yeah, the relevant committee will have to look at it and withdraw whatever permissions have been given.
To withdraw?
To withdraw.
Okay. And then the building? Someone is crying somewhere, they've not been considered properly. Another person has been favored.
Well, the building, the stand was not a council stand from what I understand. The stand is, from the papers, is a privately owned property. So the person
can... owned property, but it's in your...
It's in our jurisdiction.
Yes.
The person is then free at liberty to reconstruct something else that is permissible.
Reconstruct while it's still standing.
No, they can't reconstruct.
What will they do?
It will be removed.
We are looking at Mr. Mpofu. Is this one who's going to remove?
I'm not looking. I'm trying to
be removed.
Yeah.
How is it going to be removed?
Well, the owner can be asked to remove it. If he doesn't, it will be removed by council.
Is that what council will do?
Yes, they give a notice for you to remove whatever it is you have to remove.
Would you support that position?
Yes, in light of the irregularities, we'll support that position.
Yes, fine. Right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. I think that we have established a point on the service stations. I want to move to ZINARA, an issue that you have been very interested in yourself, given by your...
What term of reference are we talking about now? ZINARA issue?
Yes.
8.
Yes. And I'm saying that number 8.
Yes, then you can come into ZINARA.
Sorry?
Yes, you can get into that point.
To ZINARA?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Because it comes in.
Now, Mayor Mafume, the state of the roads within Harare is one that one cannot describe as ideal.
Yes.
There's a vast number of them in disrepair, and there is need for repair work, sometimes the replacement of all roads in many parts of Harare.
Yes.
And you would ordinarily require or are required to repair those roads.
Yes.
As the city council.
Yes.
Now, why are you unable to repair the roads?
We have made the argument. Since 2009, all revenues directed at the repair of roads were diverted to ZINARA. That is the vehicle licenses, fuel levy, carbon tax, in the main. And from ZINARA, at the beginning we were getting a bit of money, but for the past 5 years or 6 years going backwards, we've only been getting an equivalent of $2 million US from ZINARA. Now that is insufficient even to do the pothole patching.
No, but hold on.
Right.
You're supposed to give money to ZINARA in order for them to then reallocate to a percentage, isn't it?
Yes, the money now is, previously city councils used to collect the vehicle license levy, which the world over is used to repair the roads. Then in 2009, the law was changed. The money no longer comes to council. It's supposed to then go to ZINARA. ZINARA then distributes it to councils.
Is that the only revenue which goes to ZINARA?
No, that's not the only revenue that goes to ZINARA.
How about city parking?
City parking doesn't go to ZINARA. It comes to the city, to the city of Harare.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to start with that.
Yes. Now, if I were to use colloquial language, cut to the chase, you have not been receiving funds from ZINARA because you are unable to acquit.
No, we have acquitted.
And demonstrate how you have used their money.
No, we have acquitted all the funds that they've given. It's only $2 million US. Our estimation is that there are about 800,000 cars in Harare, and we ought to get 64 million. They collect about 64 million.
Well, the Auditor General says you haven't been able to.
No, we have been able to acquit the 2 million.
The Auditor General has included in his report that you are unable to access funds because your city council cannot acquit the funds that were given to it.
No. The ZINARA funds, they've got a different acquittal process from all other funds. Because the funds are more often ring-fenced,
I can understand how they may be. I am saying the Auditor General has put out a report that you are unable to do so.
Those are funds unrelated to the ZINARA disbursement. Because we will not be able to get another disbursement if we were not acquitting.
Well, that is what is contained in a report.
I'll need to have sight of that. But but just going by your evidence earlier on, Mr. Mafume, these council officials that do not give you spreadsheet of their salaries, these council officials that do not want ERP to be there, who cannot be trusted with auditing the accounts of the city, are suddenly able to acquit ZINARA funds? No, it's the mechanism.
Despite what the Auditor General says?
It's the mechanism of disbursement by ZINARA. It has got its own separate, it tracks its funds
I understand
precisely.
I don't want to interrupt you.
No.
I am talking about the evidence that you have given before us here, about the incompetence, the recklessness of these officials that are working for you, to the extent that you do not know how much they earn per month. Are these the same officials that would be trusted to be able to acquit properly any funds, let alone ZINARA funds?
Well, if there has been any misacquittal, we will have to look at it. But the issue of the roads, I think one needs to look at the totality of the disbursement to the city of Harare. We only got $2 million. For this year, we were lucky. Last year, we were lucky that there was a SADC summit. And thankfully, a lot of investment was done on the roads. Unfortunately, this side of Samora Machel, the affluent side. But the other side, which is not so, which was not in the direct line of the hosting, they have remained behind. And that's where we need the disbursement.
If you were able to account for, according to your own figures, 270 million per annum because of the use of a proper ERP system, would you not be able to repair your roads?
Well, we would be able to repair the roads.
I just want a direct answer.
Yeah, we would be able to repair some of the roads.
You would be able to repair the roads?
I would think so.
If you were to use your funds responsibly and not allocate executives' salaries of as high as $27,000 per month, would you not be able to put significant funds towards the repair of your roads?
Yes, but you must understand.
Would you not?
We would be, but you must understand the funding architecture of local government. Funds are collected for a purpose. So if a fund, you cannot verament easily. If it's state funds, every fund that we collect at local government level is a creature of statute. No. It is where you collect it, it is where you use it.
Let me stop you there, because as we have seen it, from your own evidence, Mr. Mafume, it doesn't look like anybody at City Council actually respects these parameters that you speak of. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to spend $1 million buying Fortuners.
Yes, that's the corruption you're talking about.
So now, we cannot talk about silos in terms of funding in circumstances where there is free for all. I mean, $1 million to buy Fortuners, how many of those would that be? It says 70,000 each.
And it's about 10, 12.
Yes, and they spent it on cars. Now, these are the people that we are dealing with. Surely we cannot expect them to be able to implement this complex situation that you indicate here, that you can't veriment funds. They veriment them every day.
Yes, we need to deal with that.
Yes, and they veriment them towards issues that have nothing to do with ratepayers, but mostly on issues to do with them as persons. Wouldn't we agree?
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay? And so, we cannot sit here and say, well, ZINARA took our funds, and therefore we can't fix roads. because there is a plethora of avenues of revenue streams that you could use towards the betterment of our roads as your citizens.
No, on that ZINARA issue, I've discussed with ZINARA. I've held a lot of meetings with ZINARA. The bulk of the cars, the bulk of the fuel levy, the bulk of carbon tax comes from Harare motorists. And my belief is that the bulk of the money that goes to ZINARA must come back to Harare motorists. They pay the bulk of that budget.
Despite your fixation with ZINARA, the fact is you are atop an institution that recklessly handles public funds, so much so that funds that should be deployed for purposes of the betterment of lives are used on holidays and luxury cars. Despite your fixation with ZINARA.
Well, we can adopt the same model that we adopted when we were doing the summit roads. The contractors can be contracted directly from ZINARA, but the fact of the matter is that the bulk of the money that goes to ZINARA comes from Harare motorists. But Harare motorists get $2 million in relation to the roads.
Yes,
every year.
You get $2 million, let's compare it, and then you can't account for $270 million per annum.
The fact still remains that the motorists pay, Harare motorists pay the bulk of the vehicle licenses in the country. They get just $2 million back.
And those motorists are not able to receive any information from you as to where $270 million per annum goes. Let us move to this process called regularization.
What's your answer?
The ZINARA issue, I think to me...
No, about the accountability.
The accountability is the same issue I've been complaining about. Without a functional ERP, without proper and timeous audits, we are going to have a gap. The management are going to have it easy because we don't have the tools to be able to enforce an audit.
So you agree with him that there is a problem with regards to the handling of funds?
The handling of funds, yes, there is a big problem.
Next question. I think your point is...
Finally, for me, final issue is one of regularization. The process of regularization that has been brought to the attention of the Commission. Now, you are aware of that process whereby councillors and their land barons, as they are known in Harare, would invade land and, to cut a long story short, go to the city council and then regularize it so that the occupation is legalized. You are aware of that?
Yes.
And what is your comment on that process?
My process is that should not be happening. I have chaired council meetings where my objection to that process has been noted. My view has been that, first of all, there is a wrong definition of regularization, because in this instance, there is the first issue that the land does not belong to any of the people that are on that land. So if the first thing that you need to deal with is the issue of ownership of that land, then you can then talk about regularization as it is meant in terms of the Act. Because what has happened is that people invade a piece of land. They've not purchased that piece of land, whether it's state, private land, or council land. Then after some time, they then say, council must allow us to bring our building plan, our development permits, and give us a permits and so forth. But the very first question that needs to be asked is, have you dealt with the ownership of that particular piece of land?
So we are agreed that that was an irregular process.
Yeah, that's to me, it's an irregular process.
And it's an irregular process that was fraught with corruption, favoritism, as councillors took advantage of this irregular power that they had to allocate land illegally.
The land barons, yeah.
Yes,
and then council officials, yes.
and council officials.
Yeah.
The evidence that we have here is that, and councillors.
In as far as the resolutions, I disagreed with the resolutions to regularize.
No, I'm not talking about you as a person, as Jacob Mafumi. I'm talking about your fellow councillors. Because we have minutes that indeed show that there were objections you placed, but the vast majority of your colleagues as councillors opposed you.
Yes, they opposed me.
And carried the day.
Yes, they unfortunately, the council is run by voting.
Yes, and as a result of that, as a result of that voting system, this irregular system, which was fraught with corruption of irregularization, was actually implemented.
In certain areas we've managed to delay it and stop it.
Yes, and that is to the detriment of both ratepayers and the council itself, this irregular occupation of land under the term regularization.
Yeah, that's problematic.
Okay. We had your audit committee chairperson Dumakam here, and he spoke at length about that regularization process. And in it, there was an audio that was put to him where he was telling his fellow councillors that this irregular process of regularization was actually an instruction from his political leader. Are you aware of that, of those circumstances, that audio?
Yeah, I heard the audio being played, yes.
Do you have any comment on it?
I have no knowledge of that instruction. It was certainly never given in my presence.
So the evidence you would give us is that these were corrupt councillors acting on their own frolic and not being given instructions by anybody.
Yeah. In that particular instance, in the particular individual, he was very emotive about those regularization. The amount of strength and vigor could not have come from anyone else except himself.
But in all fairness to him, he was not the only beneficiary to this irregularization process. There were other councillors too.
Yeah, they probably did it on their own volition. I remember if they had been receiving an instruction, it would have come to me, as I was the mayor at that point and the principal senior official within council.
Why would you say you were unable to bring sense to your fellow councillors?
Sometimes if people are invested as they are in a particular course of direction.
I'm asking you because you were in the situation. Why were you unable to stop this corrupt irregularization process?
I was outvoted. I made all arguments that I possibly can around that issue. I said that, look, we need to consult the ministry.
Okay, fine. You were outvoted.
I was outvoted, yeah.
By members of your own party.
Yes.
You were outvoted by members of your own party.
But there were other councillors who
agreed with you. Members of your own party.
Yes.
Now, and it would appear to me that they were acting as a caucus against you, if we are to believe your evidence.
Yes, they would be what?
They were acting as a caucus. It would appear to me that there would have to be a central point for the caucus.
Yes.
It would appear to me that that caucus would not publicly go against a policy of those who put them in power.
Yes, well, the caucus for Harare.
Listen carefully.
Yes.
I would submit that that caucus would not go against the policy of those who put them in power, the party that put them in power.
Yes, of course. Well,
of course, yeah.
It has been known to happen, but
okay, and
ordinarily
also, as we speak to date, None of those councillors have faced disciplinary action from their respective parties for this irregularization process.
All others have become orphans. The party has dissolved into thin air.
No, let's come back to...
Yes, fine. Can we? What's the next question? Let's get a bit serious.
Yes, I
Can
am.
you share the joke, please?
No, he had said some parties had dissolved.
Which parties?
He had indicated to me that certain councillors had not faced disciplinary action from their particular party. And I said one particular party had dissolved into thin air.
Which party?
The one that had sponsored
Which
the
one?
Triple C.
It has sponsored who?
The councillors,
Yourself included.
myself included.
It is dissolved.
It dissolved, yes.
And then you were not dissolved.
I was what?
You were not dissolved.
No, I was not dissolved.
Yes.
Yes, perhaps. So, the point that I was making is that we have agreed with each other. This was a caucused position by members of a particular party, and that none of them then faced...
No, why do you simply say a particular party? Is it a sacrosanct party? We name it. You have got a lot of political knowledge about these things, but you want to beat about the bush.
No, we actually had said this is party Triple C, which dissolved.
But why are you going to?
But anyway,
why are you referring to it as a particular
very
party?
well, very well. I was
Yes.
coming to my point.
Yeah.
Perhaps let me put it in a different way. Councillor Duma was a member of the Triple C,
Yes,
and he was one of those that outvoted you in this regularization process.
yes.
And we have agreed that this was actually a caucused position by members of the Triple C, which was your party then.
Yes, but for those particular people who
Yes,
voted against
it was a caucus position. And the question that I had put was that none of those people then faced any action from their party, the Triple C, over that caucus position of carrying out irregularization.
No, they didn't.
Does it therefore not follow that it gives credence to Councillor Duma's assertions if he says this was an instruction of the party?
I've had issues with Councillor Duma in terms of his credibility and in terms of the things that he says in council, and it's on public record. And I do believe that the issues around regularization were peculiar and particular to himself within his ward, and he was doing so, not necessarily for any greater.
No, it was not restricted to one word.
Yeah, the councillors that, if you look at the DNA of regularization, it is councillors that are in the, what you call high density suburbs. The councillors that were on the other side of Samora Machel
The
were
point
opposed.
that sorry.
No, hold on. Let's let him finish.
The issue of the regularization is peculiar to councillors that are in the high density suburbs because of the relations that they might have with the local situation, land barons or otherwise the people that need the regularization. But if you looked at the voting patterns for the councillors from the low density suburbs where I come from, we were opposed to this regularization process as it was being proposed by Councillor Duma.
The point that I was making before your lengthy explanation is that Councillor Duma was not alone in benefiting from this irregular regularization process.
Well, that may be so.
That is so.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Before I hand over, now you have been sitting there for a long time.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you want to tell this commission? Or maybe let me, it doesn't matter. Is there anything else that you feel you want to tell this commission?
In relation to...
You see, you say so because you are coming to an end of your evidence.
Oh, we're coming to an end.
Yeah.
Okay. What? All
All
right.
right, okay, maybe if you can,
Or maybe
if you can pack, let me give
okay,
my,
just
my
so that
colleague.
maybe we get one.
Yeah,
Just 5 minutes, Councillor. I know you've been sitting there for a long time.
Okay, thank
Just a few follow-up questions.
Yes.
You informed this commission that, in fact, there's corruption in respect of payment of the purchase price by Hamas to a house bought from Dr. Kereke.
Yes.
Okay? You indicated that there are other 4 houses whose...
Say that again about Dr. Kereke?
Yes, a house in Irua sold by Dr. Kereke to Hamas.
Does Rua fall under Harare?
Yes, no, but it was Hamas from Harare which was purchasing that property.
Right, just hold on. Yeah.
Hamas is a Harare municipality medical aid association. So they were purchasing a house in Irua to convert it into a hospital.
Who was purchasing that house? Hamas?
Yes.
Then where does Kereke come in? Dr. Kereke come in?
Kereke is the one who sold that property.
In Rua?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Right,
Yes,
fine.
that's correct.
Okay.
For 1.2 million.
1.2 million.
Yeah.
That was an inflated price.
Yes, it's an 800 square meter stand in Rua. There is no way that stand and the structure that is in it can fetch that price, particularly in terms of
That's
its
1.2 million US dollars.
The stand is 800 square meters.
Okay. You confirmed that, in fact, there were attempts for a double payment.
Yes, a double payment was actually paid, yeah. That's why it got to 1.2 million.
Okay. That was corruption.
Yes, it's corruption.
Okay.
Who by?
By Hamas at that particular time, the executive of Hamas.
You said there are other 4 houses whose prices were outrageously inflated.
Yes, there are other purchases that were done.
Which, can you enlighten this commission of other purchases?
Yeah, if you look at the forensic report on Hamas, which I can beg leave to then submit to this commission at a later stage, there is a purchase there's a description of a property that was bought for 1.5 million. That property is simply described as a title deed, but there is evidence of the money going out to purchase that property, but there is no evidence or no sign of that particular property anyway. And then there are 2 other properties that I probably cannot name from the top of my head, but if I give you the forensic audit, it's very clear, and the figures were then paid. And the property has not been...
That is, again, corruption, to add on to instances of corruption as alluded to by my colleague.
Yes, that's theft, yeah? Fraud,
okay.
So far.
Theft and fraud. I understand that, in fact, there's construction of Harare Market stores by Masimba Construction. You confirm that?
Yes.
Do you agree with me that that process was not taken to tender?
It was the cabinet directive. The cabinet met after the what do you call it? The fire at Mbare, and cabinet came. We were called as the city council, and we were told that this is the solution that cabinet had proffered for the construction of the markets.
Okay, very well, maybe we'll have to find out later. Also, let's talk about
it. It was well publicized.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about it. You look at streetlights tender.
Yes.
Well, in fact, it was also surrounded with some corruption.
Yes. Yes, the Juluka was That's where the town clerk and the other officials were arrested.
Another incident of corruption as well within the seat of
Yes,
Harare.
I'm advised that the matter is before the courts.
Okay, it's no longer.
Yeah, no, we cannot substitute, we can't talk about it.
Okay, because I understand the charges were withdrawn.
No, there are still pronouncements that have been made
Yeah.
around that issue.
He is involved in those.
Okay.
So he knows better with regards to the ongoing.
Okay, thank you. I am going to withdraw that.
Yes.
Then prepaid meters. What is going on?
What do you mean?
Procurement of
You don't know
prepaid.
what you mean, so can you repeat the question?
Procurement.
All right.
Procurement of prepaid
What do you mean now
meters.
it borders on a fight?
Okay. May you,
What is happening pertaining to the procurement of prepaid meters for the city of Harare?
which particular prepaid meters are you referring to?
For water meters.
But which particular?
Right, fine. I'll tell you what. You are talking to us.
Oh, okay.
If you have not understood the question, you ask us, may the question be repeated.
Okay. Yes, Judge. May he elaborate
You
the...
also, you change your body and face us.
Okay.
You seem to
Again? Right, fine.
You seem to be surprised. There is a process
And you
for
also ask questions facing us, and
Okay, thank you.
your hands should be on your
Okay.
table now. Yes.
I'm trying to observe
it's
his,
all right.
his
No.
demeanor.
No, the demeanor will come from us.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, fine.
Honorable
Address-
Chair.
address us, yes.
I understand there's a process of procurement of prepaid water meters by the council. You are aware of that?
Prepaid meters.
Yes, water meters, yes.
The process that I'm aware of is again a process being led by the ministry, and that process is to solve the water crisis. And one of the solutions that have come from the ministry and by correlation from cabinet is that we should have prepaid water meters in Harare.
In fact, I would advise you to ensure that a proper tender process is followed. Do you agree?
No. Ask the question.
Eh?
What
Yes.
is your question?
Yes, I'm just giving some advice to ensure that a proper tender procedure is followed. What's the,
So there's no question then if it's been followed?
yes, I just as a word of advice to His Worship the Mayor.
You understand that proper procedure is now being followed with regards
Can you
to-
ensure that that is followed?
We will follow the law in everything that we do.
Yeah.
And we also assume that other bodies, that we're a three-tier of government. We also are confident that should we be asked to do anything by the ministry or by cabinet, they are also cognizant of the provisions of the law where they need to seek exemptions. As a superior tier of government, they will so seek those exemptions.
Okay, thank you. Now, when you are being led by, or when my colleague was asking you some questions, you made an admission that because of the absence of the ERP system, there is the financial management system is prone to massive corruption, fraud, and theft. Do you admit that?
Yes?
And indeed, there is rampant corruption, theft, or fraud within the seat of Harare.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do you admit that this has led to poor service delivery within the city of Harare?
Yes.
And finally, do you admit that the seat of Harare has dismally failed to deliver efficient and effective service delivery, even the minimum core content thereof?
There are challenges in the issues of service delivery. That
In other words, my question is, you have dismally failed to provide proper efficient and effective service delivery to the residents of Harare, even the minimum core content thereof.
Yeah, there is a city that was able to host the SADC summit that people are living in. It's a functional city, but there are challenges. We are not where we ought to be. But I can certainly tell you that I've traveled extensively in Africa. Where we are, many people would want to live in Harare as it is. However,
You are not answering the question.
we can improve.
We have all been all over Africa. We are not just answer the question. Zimbabweans have their own standards of living. You understand?
Yes, I'm understanding. I'm responding to the English that you have used. You are using words like dismally
Yes.
and failed. And I'm describing the factual situation, that there are challenges. Okay. And Harare is not where we want it to be. Okay. But it is a city that is considerably providing services and creating opportunities for citizens of Harare. Yes, we can improve and we should improve, but the adjectives that you are using are not adjectives that I would use to describe the city of Harare.
You are happy with the city of Harare failing to collect the refuse in the high density areas. You are happy with that? You want us to be comfortable with that as ratepayers?
No, we are not happy. That's why I said we can improve.
That's why I'm saying you have dismally failed to provide services. You understand? This is where I'm coming from.
Right, fine, all right.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Honorable Chair. I'm sure I've made my case.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right. Do you? Yes. Can you be kind enough, please, and restrain yourselves and withhold your laughters, and you can show our best out as soon as we are willing to. Do you have any questions?
Yes, Honorable Chair. I've got about 2 questions. The first one is that throughout when you were giving your evidence, particularly around what is going on with the executive, their perks and so on, there are many things that you were not aware of. You stated that you are not aware of. What are you going to do going forward that you understand and master and get the information which is that important, especially around such a huge expenditure of the city?
Yes, going forward, we are going to get, as directed by the Commission, I'm going to get the total of the executive packs and salaries. Once getting the total of the executive packs and salaries, we will get a report on where we ought to peg them as council, and we will refer to the local government board as is required by law in relation to those salaries and packs. The last time that we were given a directive was by the then Minister Patrick Chinamasa. He gave us a directive. So we will ask the local government board and the parent ministry to give us guidance in relation to reasonable executive salaries and get the consent as we did in 20.
Just hold on. There's someone whose phone is that? Can you please stand up, whoever it is? I'm sure you are there. You don't want to be embarrassed by being more pointed out. Please, can you make sure that your phone remains in silent or in a vibrate mode until you complete this business? Yes, fine. Right, thank you. Yes.
My second question, Honorable Chair, is around housing cooperatives. Several housing cooperatives and through their leaders have presented evidence to this commission to the effect that they are having big problems with council, problems of land allocation and then disallocation. Are you aware of any problems around housing cooperatives?
Yes.
What are you doing about it?
Yes, the issue of housing cooperatives is the biggest, one of the biggest problems. My suggestion and my view was that we needed to get a guidance at ministerial level as to what we do with the various settlements that have arisen because of housing cooperatives and other pay schemes, so that we can draw a line around the issues relating to those housing cooperatives. Some of them have been there since 2007, 2009, and they still have no legal status on the land that they sit, and tragically they still have no services to talk about. And therefore we need probably an interministerial committee or a joint committee, City Council and the Ministry, to be able to deal with the issue of these cooperatives once and for all.
Thank you, Chair. Just to take up on the last question that was posed to you. These housing cooperatives, do you have a register of how they're administered with council? What's the relationship?
Yeah, we had the register. What happened is that there was a period when they were being called housing cooperatives. That's the time around 2009 to 2013 through the Ministry of Small to Medium Enterprises. Then they were abolished. Now they are being called pay schemes because we wanted to deal directly with the individuals. So for every particular pay scheme or locality, we do have a register of the people who are there, or the competing factions, as it were. They will begin together. Then some of them were just invading open spaces in the later years and taking advantage of that period. So there is knowledge as to what is happening in the area. What is not been there has been a clear dispute resolution mechanism and also a clear docking in with the City Council. Some of them have now been, they are now land invasions. So what people do, they invade a piece of land, take about 10% of that piece of land, and then claim to have invaded, let's say, 800 hectares, and want to regularize that and then proceed to sell to unsuspecting residents. So we need an all-encompassing solution that comes from the parent ministry and the City of Harare, sitting down, and we visit area by area, and we agree on the solution and how we deal with the land that has been invaded, whether state, council, or private.
Okay, I asked this because we had evidence that there was a pay scheme in areas like Greendale and Greystone Park. So I was curious to know whether there's a register of these things or whether it's confined to high-density areas or low-density areas.
No, in my view, that any pay scheme that purports to be in a residential, in a low-density area is fraudulent. I mean, we can't have cooperatives invading land in Borodale, Greystone Park, Mauborain, and so forth. I mean, it does not make sense. That's theft. Because we probably ought to be able to plan easily in the low density areas where we have these issues, and we will not, in my view, we shouldn't allow those things in the low density areas. In my view, if we contain them in the high density areas and we try to manage those areas because they have been unsuspecting citizens that have bought and have lived on those pieces of land for 10 years, 15 years, and it will be very difficult to try and use methods of removing them by force. They also, the residents number up to almost 100,000.
So do we be correct to assume that it's these pay schemes that are now being brazen enough to spread from high density areas into those low density areas?
Yes.
With the collusion of some council employees?
Council employees, because when they realized that there was regulations, land barons who wanted to steal land from Borodale, Marlborough, Greystone Park and low density areas tried to put their the land that they were stealing onto the list of regularization. And because of the naming of the numbers, it's not very clear as you look at the list that this is a low density. So you then pass an omnibus resolution. You then realize that you have regularized a low density area, which we shouldn't.
Okay. So given that scenario, does the city of Harare have a map or a land bank where it can identify the land that it owns and the current status?
The absence of an enterprise resource package and a database has meant that we do not have that database we should be having it on a click of the button. But if you ask today, give me the land bank of City of Harare, it will take you 2 years to get that land bank. So we need to have an electronic land bank, GPS, mapping the various pieces of land that we have donated and so forth. That currently is not there, and it can only come up if we adopt.
So is it safe to assume that that knowledge is within the personal domain of certain people who then leak it to people that then invade and then regularize?
And now they've gone to create fake title deeds using the knowledge of that land bank. A property which everyone believed to be City of Harare for years, you suddenly go to the deeds office, you find that it has been transferred, backdated to some individual over years, because that knowledge remains the preserve of a few individuals.
So can we safely say that the absence of an ERP has caused leakages in terms of land, actual land?
Yes, the absence of an ERP creates it creates a manual system, and manual systems now are very difficult to track, and they are easy to manipulate because you then recreate the hard files with quite easily without reference to a digital footprint elsewhere.
Now, moving on to the issue of the remuneration of executives, I'm sure there are meetings that are held for budgets beginning of the year. Has there been any figure ascribed to these payments in the budget, or it's hidden somewhere on the budget?
It's hidden. The way a budget is done is that staff comes as an envelope figure. It doesn't get disaggregated to the individuals. And then it comes as an envelope because we do our budget once a year. So what we do is we do anticipatory budgeting. So we do. So if we create an envelope of 2 billion, our assumption is that that 2 billion will cover us even any increases that we have to do to the individual employees until the next budget. So you then budget a figure which then is not too apparent as you are doing the budget, where it exactly is going to. Then disaggregated at a later stage, depending on the negotiations that okay with the employees and so forth.
So it's possible that the councillors unknowingly approved these conditions of service?
Yeah, it's
full knowledge of what
because it's an envelope. Then when it disaggregates, you might then not be aware as to how it desegregates. And then at also some other time the currency changes. You are also not aware how they have been implemented in relation to salaries of the executive in particular. With the other staff from grade 5, the unionized staff, it's very easy because those figures are public, publicized and negotiated at the collective bargaining, at the NEC level. So the bargaining level, the unions and everybody else, that one is easy to see. But when it comes to the executives, it becomes
I asked because my understanding from the evidence given so far is that there's a committee system that works. That there's an HR committee, and an audit committee, and a business committee. So the HR committee does not know exactly how much these people earn.
The HR committee does not.
The audit committee also
does not know exactly the finance. They will be shocked, and they certainly were shocked when I told them the figures that they theoretically had approved in their committees. Both the finance chair, the HR chair, and the audit chair were yeah.
Okay, which then brings me to the next thing, which is intertwined. How would you rate the level of education vis-a-vis the responsibilities of councillors? Do you not think that there has to be a correlation? Given the amount of money they have to look after, they're superintending $500 million United States dollars. Now, do you think it's reconcilable for somebody with 4 O-levels to discuss a budget of $500 million?
It's a slippery slope in terms of that. What we...
So let me hold you there. Can you take off your political hat now?
Yeah, okay.
Tell us the objective.
Yeah, theoretically, Harare is a complex city. It's one of the biggest cities in Southern Africa. It has a huge budget. Not only does it have a huge budget, it has complex processes. We have the biggest water plant in Sub-Sahara, outside South Africa.
Yes, what is your answer to that?
So we would need to mix the education levels of the council.
Thank you.
So do you ascribe some of these problems to this lack of exposure in education? Like, for example, you've been telling us that you're facing resistance in some of the things you're trying to pass.
Yeah, some of the problems.
A lack of understanding.
Yeah, some of the problems.
So maybe ascribe that lack of understanding to the background or caliber of councillors that you have to work with as the mayor.
It's easier for the city officials to manipulate the...
So my question is directed at you as the mayor. You are the one that sits in council.
Yes.
You have an idea that you think is for the good of the council. You're working with people that do not understand what you're trying to. It's like with the ERP. You made it clear that there was a problem when you're giving us your example about the puppies and opening eyes. Do you not think that it's a problem in itself?
It's a problem.
Institutional problem.
It's an institutional problem.
Which cannot be solved by re-electing the same caliber of people. They'll still suffer the same fate.
Yes. Other jurisdictions have adopted a system where they create certain appointed officials from the elected officials who are like executive. Like they provide qualifications for the mayor, they provide qualifications for certain councillors that have to hold certain portfolios, so that the parties, as they are electing, are aware that they need to elect people who will then be able to man certain portfolios.
Okay, then lastly, with the traffic lights issue, you told us that the accidents, that's how they're getting damaged. Has the City of Harare ever approached insurance companies to recover? Because surely all the cars in Harare are insured. So if there's an accident and they're police, surely the people that have caused damage are identifiable.
Yes.
Has it ever crossed your mind? Has it ever been?
It has crossed our mind. Well, as a legal practitioner, I've advised our legal department ad nauseam to say that you should just go to the police records and claim from the third party insurance of the person who has caused that damage. But I don't think it has been done.
Do you know why?
Probably a competence issue. There's really no reason why it shouldn't be done.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairman. Mayor Mafume, thank you very much again for being with us here. Just a few questions on the business entities.
Yes.
Now, the first question I would want to know, Mayor, is who appoints board members to these entities?
They are appointed by the council, and then the letters are written by the town clerk.
How does council go through this process when you say they are appointed by council?
The town clerk writes a report to the business committee. The business committee looks at the report given by the town clerk. It comes to the full council for endorsement. and then the town clerk writes the letters to the selected board members.
Okay. Now, let's now zero in on referral marketing. Referral marketing, in evidence laid here, is that it has 2 board members who have now become executive, and they've been executive for some time, running entities within referral marketing. Are you aware of this development?
Yes, the referral marketing board made a resolution to make some of the board members executive board members.
Now, in terms of corporate governance, how do you view that arrangement? And given the time these people have now been running those entities, and they still occupy the post of being board members? I'm talking about board member Ulete and board member Chimpani.
Yeah, at some point they will have to regularize the status, either elect to be in the board as non-executive or be an executive and then relinquish the board position or the voting board position.
You are saying at some point, is it not easier for the board to advertise for the posts and then pick professionals to run these positions?
Yeah, it would be.
If they qualify, they can then compete with the others. But yeah. I'm saying it has taken quite a bit of time for them to remain both as executive and also as board members.
Yeah, they will have to do that in terms of corporate governance. They will have to advertise. The history of referral marketing had been that it was a board that people were trying to recover assets and many other things, and at that particular time the board felt that it ought to follow that approach. But I have no issues with that approach being adopted.
And your comment, Mayor, on referral marketing not remitting to council or remitting very little in the last few years. What is your comment on that?
Yeah, it was, the referral marketing was a sad story. The company was started in 1995. From 2012 until 2023, it was remitting, when it was under the Finance Committee, it was remitting $0. The bars themselves were being sold. They almost sold the Rufaro Corner Brewery when it was under the executive of Mutwadirwa. He almost sold the Rufaro Brewery. But when we instituted the reforms in the current board, the remittances have started to come. We are now aware of the number of bars that we have. We are taking control of they are taking control of the leases that had been issued and trying to develop a new model. And
now let's look at the other entities, Mayor. These entities are supposed to be 100% owned by council. They are council companies, basically.
The other entities, yes.
All of them?
Yes, all of them are council entities, save for, is it Sunshine Holdings, or Sunshine, which is and Weneka Holdings, which were joint ventures, and there are about 4: Roadport, Mabazua, Weneka, which built the Adben Flats, and Sunshine Holdings at Warren Park Golf Club. Those 4 are not 100% owned by the city.
What I would like to understand, Mayor, is that on those which you own 100% as council, evidence brought before us as a commission is that it has been very difficult, including by the Auditor General, to access information from those entities. And being told that we are private companies, we do our own thing. Is this the way council is arranged that these both entities operate?
That was the way they were interpreting their private limited when I came into council. We fought over that. And I told them that you are we told them that you are 100% owned by the city council. And if you look at the progression of their report, it took a lot of time for them to accept and to understand that point, because they had given an interpretation that them being incorporated as private limited meant that they were private from council. And it probably goes back to the question that was being asked by Commissioner Hungwe earlier in terms of the exposure and levels of education, because that was an argument that they were sustaining for a very long time to prevent a council and to look into the affairs of those companies.
Have you opened them up now?
Yes, now they are very clear that they report to council and that they report to the Auditor General, and that their budgets must be reflected in our annual budgetary process.
Mayor, you raised a very interesting point, that most of the money going to ZINARA actually is generated within Harare.
Yes.
And by the same token, I can also say, therefore, that city parking, being the one in charge of an area where you have most of the vehicles in this country, should be generating lots of cash for the city.
Yes, I know the specific cash that city parking has generated by figures. I know the last financial year they generated $5 million and a quantity in ZIG. The $5 million we can track the amount that was remitted to City Council and the number of bylaws that they superintend over, which are 2, and they generated that amount from their activities.
So we are saying, given the number of vehicles which you think are in Harare, you are satisfied with the money city parking is remitting to the city?
Yes, at the current moment they are remitting. When we got in 2019, they were remitting 0. When we instituted the reforms, they remit 30% of the gross revenue that they get every month, and they remit should there be a dividend at the end of the year. So that amount, what I'm not happy with is when it is remitted and it gets into the bowels of the city council, you don't know where it has gone or where exactly it has been used.
I want to look at another dimension. City parking is also now operating in Guero.
Yes.
And is still 100% owned by City of Harare, isn't it?
Yes, but it then creates they created a special purpose vehicle for the Gueri operations. So we own 100% to the extent of our shares in the special purpose vehicle.
You are getting remittances from the Gueri.
We get remittances from the Gueri operations. It's a new operation. My understanding is that it will take time to get to the point where it is able to remit.
It's been there for some time now. You said you're getting 5 million. So from Guero, how much have you got? Did you get in 2021?
No, from Guero, I have not been given the figures that we have obtained from Guero, or if they are in that amount. I did not track them.
Maybe we may want to follow this up.
I might want, yeah.
Then we also had in evidence here that there are certain projects which City Parking tried to undertake externally, in Ghana, in Zambia, I think, and that certain amounts were invested in those projects, and that nothing was generated. In fact, the projects collapsed. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, that was way before our time. I'm aware of that. They attempted to, I'm told they got a contract to do parking in Accra. And the contract was terminated abruptly in Accra after the Council of Accra decided to do it on its own and booted them out and kept the equipment and the money.
And what are we doing about the recovery of those monies? Is this just money gone?
I'm made to understand.
The Zambia one as well?
Yeah, I'm made to understand that they instituted legal proceedings at that particular period in time. I don't know whether the legal proceedings are still proceeding. Certainly there hasn't been any report to us as to where they are with those legal proceedings.
But the executives who were doing those projects are still there. So council is ceased to worry about this loss?
No, we can't. These are public funds, and we have to pursue them to the extent that we have. The executives are still there. I'll have to check on that.
I'm just hoping that city parking, we have had those guys in city parking for some time.
Yeah, we've had those guys for some time, but they did blame some earlier executives for some of those forays.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Just one question. Your Worship, just your comment on whether City of Harare is up to date on salaries for employees, statutory obligations, and allowances for the councillors.
We are not, from my understanding, we are not up to date. We are up to date with the statutory obligations. We are up to date with the statutory obligations because we managed to convince the ZINARA to do a set-off on our statutory obligations. The government owed us some money, which was way above the amount that we owed in taxes. And we wrote to the Ministry of Finance, and they agreed to set off the debt to the extent of government's indebtedness to the City of Harare. So that then has assisted in our payee and other ZINARA obligations. Then our salaries are in ZIG and in US dollars. So we are behind, I think, a month in terms of the ZIG component of the salary. We could be behind in certain grades for about 2 months. The last time I was given an update on the US dollar component. We prioritize the ZIG element because of the devaluation element, but we have had a better working relations with the employees through the NEC in terms of the payment of their salaries outside the executive salaries.
Thank you, Chair.
Any questions arise out of this? Questions arise? Thank you.
There's just one aspect, Mr. Chairman, of the salary schedule that was meant to be brought.
Yes. When is he bringing it? When can you submit that to yourself, sir?
Tomorrow. I think they have it. They'll submit it.
Right, thank you. Yeah, there is. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say?
Oh, the commission had indicated that I would be given an opportunity to respond.
Yes.
I was thinking that would it be better if I did written submissions rather than speak at length, or I augment what I have to say with written submissions so that I don't speak for a long time.
Apart from that you should tell the truth about everything. Apart from being lengthy, that you will be at liberty then to say certain things which otherwise you would not have said here.
Yes, it will.
I think that's what in your mind.
Yeah.
Most important.
Yes.
Yeah, fine, you will do that.
We will do.
When can you submit that for us to peruse?
Is 2 days or
Yes. Right, fine. Up to Thursday,
up to Thursday?
before close of business on Thursday.
Yes, before close of business. On Thursday, we'll give. Yes. And I'll attach certain documents that I promised and that are relevant, that I believe are relevant to the
But thank you very much for the evidence you have given.
Okay.
But there's an outstanding issue which I wish to hear from both of you. With regards to the evidence given in relation to your residences, 9 Sky Master and also 110 Coronation.
It's 102. Yeah.
No, the one you gave us, that is your residence.
Yes.
Well, yet, in fact, and in truth, you are now 102. Do you, firstly, do you have anything to say about that? That evidence is contradiction and turned out to not be true. Yeah.
Well, I thought I would leave it to the commission to make a decision.
The decision on what?
On,
I want you to address me on that.
yes, what is certain is that
you were pursuing that.
yes,
You can't just leave it any when you're about to conclude.
the witness was lying under oath about his place of abode. Because initially he lied that he is residing at house number 9 Sky Mass, and upon being further questioned, he changed to he then changed his story and started to allege that he is resident at house number 110 Coronation Drive. And indeed, we went for inspection in local, and it was clear that he had lied about his place of abode. And the only reasonable inference for lying, obviously we made the assertions that he was trying to hide his place of abode, which we believe there may be a reasonable suspicion that that place was not acquired lawfully, and the relevant authorities are going to take up the issue. They are going to take up the issue pertaining to the acquisition of those properties. We will leave it to the relevant authorities, Honorable Chair.
That's all, hold on there.
And as I speak, the relevant authorities.
That's all right, that's all right. of what you are submitting now. That's the violation of the contravention of the Inquiry Act, isn't it?
Yes, that is.
What section? Do you have
I do not have it with me. Should be section Commission. I have to be sure. Anyone is the Commission requires. You have to Google it. I always have.
I think it's section 13.
If so, I send guided.
No, just double check.
Yes, in terms of that section, it is an offense for any witness to lie before the commission under oath, and that is a criminal offense punishable by a fine and or a term of imprisonment. I will leave it to the Honorable Commission on whether or not this is an issue which may be referred to the appropriate investigating authorities.
Mr. Mafume, have you accessed the section which we are referring to?
Yes, yes, I've
Have you
accepted.
read that?
Yes, I've read the section.
Yes, fine. The Mr. Mfume, as I pointed out in our last mention, that you had misled, given information which misled the commission. Commission formally charges you for contravening section 13, headed witness giving false evidence, which reads as follows. That on the think on the 6th of February, on the 6th of February 2024, when you were giving evidence, it turned out that you had not been truthful with regard to where you reside. Formally, that any witness who, after having been sworn, gives false evidence before the commissioners concerning the subject matter of the inquiry, knowing such evidence to be false or not knowing or believing it to be true, shall be guilty of an offense and liable to a fine not exceeding level 7 or imprisonment to a period not exceeding 2 years, or to both such fine and such imprisonment. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes.
What is your response to that?
Yes, indeed, that is what happened. It was an error on my part. I did not do that knowingly. I had recently moved into the premises. The court or the commission must note that the street is the same. The area is in Greendale. It's at 102 Coronation. That is where I reside. My error was in the numbers, and at the gate, that at my gate there is a 10, and I had assumed that is the 100 and it's the other one that is missing, but it's in the same street. And it's in Greendale.
In other words, you deny that you lied.
That I gave false information knowingly, that it's not to be true.
Do you have any response to that? Thank you.
No.
Do you believe?
No, quite obviously, one cannot. That is not worth of belief. You cannot say because there is a one in the sale. Obviously, if one purchases a house, one is expected to know his or a place of abode, the house number. Not to say that because I looked at the gate, it is written because there is one sale, then I thought it's 110 instead of 102. That story is not worth of belief. It's highly credible, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, just to correct one issue, I didn't purchase the property.
Yeah. We were asking about where you resided.
Yes, I was asked about where I reside.
It was on the 5th of February, not the 6th. It was on the 5th of February.
Okay.
Agreed?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Mafume, stand up. You are an educated man, a lawyer who is very intelligent from our observation. You have given your evidence very well, thoroughly choosing your words properly and tactfully. You are a practical legal practitioner. It is beyond comprehension that you would have mistaken your residential place as 110 as opposed to 102, same street. we do not believe that what you are telling us is the truth. What happened is that for whatever reason which will remain unknown to us is that you tended to mislead and you misled. The explanation that you had recently moved into the area does not hold water at all, because you drive to the house and you know where you stay at the time. Therefore, it's just not true. And for that reason, we find that indeed you contravene Section 13 of the Commission of Inquiry Act, Chapter 10(07). You understand?
Yes, I understand.
Yes. In light of that, we would like you to say something in mitigation, if at all. It's your legal right, as you know.
Okay, let me just take.
Do you want him to submit on your behalf, or you want to say it yourself?
I can say, I just wanted to jot down.
Oh, yes, fine.
Yes,
Please.
to jot down a few minutes.
Yes, please.
Yes, my Lord, I take full responsibility for my actions, and I would want to extend my apologies my heartfelt apologies to the Commission for the misleading information. I have indeed given the rest of my evidence to the Commission, and this is the only time that the Commission has found an issue with my evidence, meaning that for the purposes of this Commission, I'm a first offender. I would, if it pleases my Lord, that reprimand would be sufficient for this issue. Yes, I'm a lawyer of long standing and have not had any issues. A family man with 2 children. And have been working for the city for the past number of years in my capacity as councillor and mayor. So I would, if it pleases the court, that reprimand would serve the justice of this case in relation to the issue of the address and my standing in the community.
You don't have your assets?
My assets, I have the property at 9 Sky Master, which I jointly own with my wife. I have 2 vehicles, one Prado at and household properties, and the stand that has been allocated to me by Councilor.
Where is that stand?
Pardon?
Where is the stand?
It's Mount Pleasant.
You are in private practice.
Yes, I'm in private practice. I'm registered to practice. And operate a law firm, a self-styled law firm for law chambers.
What sentence would interfere with your practice as a lawyer?
A custodial sentence would...
Custodial sentence?
Yes, would interfere with...
You have not told us about that. Maybe that's what you want?
Certainly that is not what I want, my lord. That's what I indicated, that a custodial sentence would interfere with my livelihood, with the practice, and with my operations at the council offices, and also would affect my capacity to earn for my family, as I'm a breadwinner. So I would request that if a reprimand does not meet the justice of the case, a fine would be an appropriate punishment.
Yes, thank you. Anything else?
I have nothing else.
You were not neatly, but to disclose your finances.
I do have some cash on me.
No, I mean elsewhere. Maybe you can disclose the zig part and leave the other.
I do have access.
It's the requirement that I have to record that.
Oh, okay. Yes, I do have some deposits in my accounts.
Amounting to?
Not exactly sure. There's a zig amount, which is the equivalent of my allowance, which would amount to 800 zig.
In your case?
My cash, I do have, in my person, $800 US.
Anything else you want to add?
No, there's no other liquid.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Down, please.
Oh, thank you.
Do you have anything in aggravation which you want to?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I'm not too sure as to the exact number of official languages in this country, effect which causes me some embarrassment, but I would like to perhaps help this commission by quoting a saying in one of the languages, which perhaps would help the commission come to a just sentence. With your permission, may I go on to do that?
Yes, okay.
There is a saying in Shona that goes, Nyadzi dzinokunda rufu.
Yes, may that be interpreted properly? Is the interpreter? What does that mean? I'm not I don't want to start.
It is far much better.
No, it's all right, man. Let me put it in a, not word for word, but at least I want the meaning.
I am being proficient in the language. I'm able to help.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
It is better to be dead than to be acutely embarrassed.
I said find the translation.
And I am submitting in the absence of my colleague who handled the matter. But it is my view that the acute embarrassment emanating out of this is in itself some punishment to the mayor and will serve as a reminder of the importance of being earnest. I quote Oscar Wilde here. And I would ask the Commission to take that saying into account when it arrives at a proper punishment. Of course, that is not to minimize the offense. This is a commission set by His Excellency the President, and its business is therefore at that level of significance, especially as it relates to our capital city. Having said that, with those
Do you want to give me a piece of paper, please? Can I give you a piece of paper?
sorry?
Can you answer this question that I'm relating to you now?
You have to trust me.
Can you put it down? Do you remember?
No, perhaps let me finish. Maybe you'll be answered by the time I finish.
Okay.
I wanted to submit to this commission that this witness is the second witness who has been so convicted of this offense in terms of the relevant act. And the records will reflect that in the first instance, where it happened, I asked the court to, the commission, to steer away from a custodial term. I hold the same view on this case as I did on the first one. My memory serves me well. There was a fine of 200. 300 dollars. And for purposes of consistency, I would ask for the same in this case.
But these are different individuals. That one was giant on entity. Now we have a giant who is a mayor.
Well, I would submit that at far.
Sit down. I wanted to just to see whether you remember.
Again, I don't know if my colleague had submissions, but I think we can carry on.
No. We cannot wait for him wherever he is. We can't.
Are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plans, our goal. Yes, Mr. Mafume, stand up. As pointed out earlier on in this matter, you have been found guilty of having contravened Section 13 of the Commissions of Inquiry Act, Chapter 1007, in that you gave evidence which you knew that was false.
or did not believe it to be true. In assessing a suitable sentence, the Commission will take into account what you have submitted in mitigation, namely that you are a family man and you are a lawyer of great repute and running your own practice. And that is in your favor. And further to that, it is clear that you, to a certain extent, other than what you sought to mislead the Commission on, you gave your evidence in a very clear, concise manner and very helpful to the Commission. This might have come as a second thought after we had knee-jerked you somehow, but the truth to a certain extent has come out. But also in your favor is the fact that you are a mayor of this beautiful city of Harare, and you seem to be a lone wolf in the circumstances, in that those surrounding you have been found wanting or are failing to cooperate. And unfortunately, you have also found yourself, to a certain extent, being painted with the same brush. You are a man of means in that you possess certain immovable property, and also you are enriched with the currency of 800 ZIG. In addition thereto, you also are in possession of a cash amounting to $800. That is all I can find in your favor. But in aggravation, I find that you, as the father of the city, the citizens, ratepayers, and property owners of this place, they look upon you as the father of the city, and you have to lead as an example of life. But I cannot pretend that you were under intense pressure and where you did not know what to say and you didn't know what has been said previously by others about yourself or about the affairs of the city. Be that as it may, it was incumbent upon you to have made a clean breast of what was happening and told the truth as you had taken oath. And above all, as a lawyer, you know what that means. You should have told the truth. Having said that, this is a situation where justice has to be tempered with mercy, and the fact that we have been convicted of having misled or lied, as they want to put it, it is enough punishment. It might be misunderstood by others that you are a liar, but that is not in my domain. What should be understood is that you are not generally a liar. You lied in these circumstances and nothing else. And I'm not saying that you are generally a liar or a compulsive liar, as it were. The embarrassment which has engulfed you from the time we sat down and heard about this matter, the media, social media has been awash with what was going on, particularly by these people who delight in spreading bad news to them is good news. That is enough punishment. You have endured a lot of mental and physical problems, but unfortunately, you have been the author of your own misfortunes. The sentence which I must impose here must not only serve as a general deterrence to others of like minds, but also make it a point that it will guard against any other future conduct of this nature. I am particularly persuaded of the fact that I should not impose a sentence which will interfere with your practice or your professional calling. In light of that, the Commission will impose the following sentence on you, that you, Mr. Jacob Mafume, you are sentenced to pay a fine of $300 or 3 months imprisonment with labor, which is wholly suspended for 5 years on condition that during that period you are not convicted of contravening Section 13 or 14 of the Commissioners of Inquiry Act, which upon conviction and sentence, you are sentenced to a period of imprisonment not exceeding $300 or 6 months or 3 months imprisonment. Do you understand the sentence?
I'm indebted.
Yes, fine. You understand the sentence?
I understand the sentence.
Right, fine. Okay. Yes. But you may sit down, please sit down. Yes.
Yes, we understand. I think it's opportune time to adjourn.
Yes. Right. You want to say something? So your evidence leading. Any more witnesses? None other than the submissions in written form?
Yes.
We are fine. Right.
I think at this stage...
There's a need for us to advise those about the stage we are in now.
Advise people.
Should I do it?
Yeah.
Yes, fine. Right. No, all men whom it may concern. No, all men whom it may concern. That the gathering of evidence of this commission has come to an end. We will then adjourn and deliberate on the presentations and submissions which were made by the evidence leaders. We would like to take this opportunity and thank all of you who participated and gave evidence before us. And also thank you, members of the press, for reporting truthfully to a certain extent, and hope that you will not misquote us from now on. You will be advised of what will take place after this, but you will not participate because this is now for the commissioners to adjourn and listen and peruse all the documents we've been dealing with and do like what we've been mandated to do. Yes, do you have something to say? You seem to be burning to say something.
Just to indicate that the current stage is the end of the oral evidence in these hearings, but that submissions in the form of affidavits to those who may have them, they may still provide,
Yes, fine.
put them in there.
Yes. In the event that there's something which has been said by other people and you are afraid to submit, you do so, because we have about 3 months within which to write a report, and that is not part of you anyway. We'll do what we can as soon as we can. Once again, thank you very much. You have got something to say, Mr. Gijim?
No, nothing, Honorable Chair.
You have nothing to say? Save that the bill will be generated. Or it's gratis.
Maybe just to be grateful to the Chair for allowing me to say something. I did not say this single word since I came through.
Yeah, indeed, yeah, please. Right, fine. Well, again, thank you very much for everything.
Quality content that increases your visibility, Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business conferences, live music concerts, weddings, sports events, funerals, and any other live gatherings on all social media platforms. Rory Studios. Your plans, our goal. Do you have an event and are you wondering how it can be cost-effective with real-time engagement, reusable and quality content that increases your visibility? Rory Studios has got your back. We offer live streaming services from church gatherings, business